Hi, I'm Dee of Delightful Wealth and welcome to my channel. And if this is your first time joining me, I'd like to extend a very special welcome and thank you all for joining me today. On this channel, I talk about paying off debt and my pursuit of financial freedom. I was able to pay off over $61,000 worth of debt between 2021 and 2022 in a total of 14 months. And I am sharing my journey with you. And hopefully, by sharing my journey, it will inspire you as well to pursue financial freedom. Today, we're talking about debt cancellation. I'm talking about destroying debt and the two methods that I used to pay off my debt of 61,000 plus of debt. Those debts include things such as credit cards, my car loan, a personal loan through a bank, and also my student loans. Now, I had a total of 4 student loans. I know a lot of people are waiting to see what the government will decide about reducing or canceling some of the student loan debt, but I just wanted to get rid of this debt and it is gone. So today I'm going to talk about the two methods that I used. First of all, before we get into those two strategies, let's take a look at what we bring in and our expenses. And in a recent video, I talked about finding hidden treasure in your bank account by streamlining your expenses, and that money can be used to pay off your debt. So I will include a link to that video in the description box below and also at the end of the video where you can click to see that video, and it gives you the strategies I used on how to streamline expenses and find hidden treasure in your bank account. But we need to look at the money that you have left over after paying off your expenses. That money can be used to pay off your debt. Look at your income. Now, if there is no money left over after paying off your expenses for the month, or it's not enough to even cover your expenses, then we need to talk about bringing in additional income. And that can be done by, I'll give just a few options, things that I did, which was working an extra shift. I'm a nurse, and I've said that before in previous videos. I've worked extra shifts. I don't believe in working a whole lot of overtime because the downfall of that is that the government comes in with the taxes and takes a lot of that overtime money. So in addition to that, I did a per diem position, which is working at another hospital where I worked shifts, additional shifts, and I used that money towards paying off debt. I also did a little bit of travel nursing, which helped to pay off debt. The other thing that you can do is get a part-time job. And remember, it's not that I'm trying to get you to work more. None of us want to keep working more and more, but I look at everything as temporary. It's a temporary strategy to erase debt and to reach a goal. So you can get a part-time job, or the latest thing everybody's talking about, side hustles, which I think is fantastic. You can do things such as doing lawns. Let's say on the weekends you decide one day a week I can do some landscaping, and believe me, landscapers make a lot of money. That's a great side hustle to erase debt or to meet certain goals. Also, like pressure washing, there's people that come around my neighborhood to pressure wash homes or driveways. That's a good side hustle. If you do natural hair, that is big and booming, where you can do hair on the side and bring in additional money, and that money is strictly allocated to paying off debt. So now let's get into it. The two strategies that I used are the avalanche method and the snowball effect. And I'm sure many of you have heard about the avalanche method and snowball effect plenty times before. And I'm going to explain it if you've never heard of it and show you how I used it. Let's start first with the avalanche method. And this method is where you focus on paying off the debt that has the highest interest rate first, and then you pay the minimums on all the remaining debt. So let's say you have a credit card that has a super high interest rate, which usually those are the ones with the highest. Sometimes they're 19, 20, 26. I'm even hearing 30% for some of the credit cards today. You would focus on paying off that debt first. So you'll put your additional side hustle money, part-time shift, per diem money, whatever, any additional money that you have left over after paying off your expenses, on that bill. Okay, and then the remainders, you just pay the minimum until that debt is paid off. After you have paid off that highest interest rate first, now you move to the second highest interest rate, and so on until the debts are eradicated. Now, the pros of using the Avalanche method is that you are now paying off debt and not paying all that additional interest. So that is awesome. Now let's look at the second strategy, which is the snowball effect, where we go from smaller to higher, meaning not the interest rate, but the balance. So instead of paying off the highest interest rate or the highest debt, we look at the one that has the smallest amount of debt and we pay that one off first. After you've crossed it off, you move to the next one. Now, the cons of using the snowball effect is that you do pay more interest rate over time, but both strategies meet the goal of becoming debt free and eradicating the debt. And what I like about the snowball method, the pros of that is that you have these small wins which build up momentum and make you feel so inspired and encouraged to just continue pursuing the journey of paying off the debt. And in either strategy, you must have tunnel vision where nothing else distracts you. You stay focused. Even if you slip, get back on and stay focused. I used both methods, the avalanche and the snowball, interchangeably to pay off my debt. And let me tell you how I did it. But just I'll give two examples. First is with my car. I had my car for a few years and I had a balance in May of 2021 of roughly $13,000 plus dollars, between $13,000 and $15,000. And the interest rate was pretty low. It was 2%. I had it through the credit union at my job at the hospital I was working for at the time, and they collected the payment bi-weekly. And so what I did was let them go ahead and take out the money bi-weekly, but in addition to that, the opposite weeks where no money was being taken out, I put additional payments and I used the money from either a small travel contract or a per diem shift or an extra shift, and I used that and just kept paying it on my car. And in 4 months, from May 2021 to August of 2021, I paid off that 13 plus thousand dollars worth of car loan. Now some may say, well, that was, it was a low interest rate. Why didn't you just go ahead and pay my credit cards, which I did have credit cards at the time with a higher interest rate? But I looked at the fact that my car is a depreciable item, meaning it is losing value every single day. When I paid it off at 13,000, when I started paying it off and it was 13,000, maybe it probably wasn't even worth 13,000. I never looked into it to check the blue book value at the time, but a car is a depreciable item. So I wanted to pay that off as quickly as possible. And therefore is also something that I own. So that's, I use the snowball method for that. But then after that, paying off the car, I switched to the avalanche method, which is the highest interest rate. And of course, that was my credit cards. So I'll give an example of one credit card. I had owed about $12,000 on the credit card on one of them. I had two. So I owed about 12,000 on one. And that interest rate, I believe at the time, was about 19%. Let's round it off and call it 20% interest. That's a lot of interest paying on that. And I did the exact same thing. So that bill is due once a month. I paid it, but then what I did with the per diem or the travel nurse check that I got every week, I started putting additional money on that until it was paid off. Once that was paid off, I moved to the next credit card, which had a high interest rate, and then I went to my student loans because that was like 6% for one, 6% for two of them, and the other two were 5%. So I had a total of 4 student loans for grad and undergrad. And so I took my time and I did the exact same method that I told you about with interchanging snowball and avalanche until those debts were gone. And those debts totaled, plus my personal loan, and those debts totaled those debts totaled over $61,000 worth of debt And those were paid off within 14 months, from May of 2021 to August of 2022. Everything was eradicated. So now I'm on my journey to continue pursuing financial independence and freedom by focusing on the mortgage next, and also having a well established retirement. So I'm still working on those things. So I'm still on my financial freedom journey, and I'd love for you to join me. And I hope what I've shared with you today will inspire and encourage you to go ahead and jump on that journey as well and tackle the debt one by one. I want you to choose whichever method works better for you and makes you feel good personally, emotionally, and financially. The most important thing is to erase the debt and to start. Remember, you're only going to focus on one debt at a time, whether you're using Avalanche or Snowball, one debt at a time, and pay all of the remaining debts that you have, just the minimum. And trust me, you will feel so motivated and inspired once you start crossing off from your budget, saying zero balance, and you move on to the next one until they're all gone. Well, I hope today inspired you and encouraged you by me sharing my experience and telling you about these two effective methods. And if it did, I'd appreciate it if you would click the like button, share it with family and friends, and most importantly, please subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you the next time. And until then, I wish for you financial peace of mind and many blessings. Peace.